Welcome to this explainer. Today we're stepping right into the sandals of an ancient Greek philosopher to demystify what is arguably Plato's most staggering and ambitious work, the Timaeus. Together, we're going to explore the ultimate blueprint of ancient cosmology, and we'll see exactly how one man tried to map out the entire universe using nothing but reason, math, and philosophy.
Now you have to check out this incredibly candid warning from classical scholar and translator Benjamin Jowett. He straight up calls the Timaeus obscure and repulsive to the modern reader. But in the exact same breath, he acknowledges that it's had the absolute greatest influence over the ancient and medieval world. It is a text packed with this profound tension between abstract philosophy, really rigorous mathematics, and sweeping mythology.
So, to navigate this labyrinth, here is our game plan. 1. Obscure, repulsive, yet influential. 2. The creator in the cosmos. 3. Plato's geometric physics. 4. The human microcosm. And 5. A living, breathing universe. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. Obscure, repulsive, yet influential.
A massive chunk of the Timaeus' historical influence actually stems from early misinterpretations. See, early Neoplatonist readers fundamentally misunderstood Plato. They took his philosophical allegories and forced them into rigid theological boxes, reading into the text doctrines like the literal creation of the world. And by doing that, they completely missed his true genius, which was his wild effort to connect massive, abstract ideas. Jowett notes that Plato is essentially dreaming of geometrical figures lost in a flux of sense. Remember, he didn't have telescopes or a chemistry lab. He only had reason to map out the heavens.
Section 2. The creator and the cosmos.
Okay, so it's absolutely crucial we understand how Plato defines his creator. Plato's creator, known as the Demiurge, is not some omnipotent deity creating things out of thin air. Instead, think of him as a master craftsman, an artisan. He's taking messy, chaotic, pre-existing materials and bringing order to them. And to pull this off, he infuses the universe with what's called a world soul, a rational, animating principle that basically turns the entire physical cosmos into a single, intelligent, living entity.
This sets up the fundamental duality woven throughout the entire text. On one hand, we have the eternal pattern. This is the realm of pure being, reason, and unchangeable divine causes. But on the other hand, we have the generated world, the visible, tangible reality we actually live in, which is defined by constant becoming, necessity, and just messy material flux. The Demiurge essentially takes that perfect, undivided eternal pattern and uses it as a template to shape our chaotic, divisible, generated world.
So, how exactly do you build a world soul? Well, with math, of course. To bind this world soul together, the creator employed very specific mathematical and musical ratios. Specifically, this series, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 8, and 27. Plato is showing us that the universe isn't just a random accident. It's built on a foundation of profound cosmic harmony and mathematical proportion.
And this math translates into a very literal mechanical blueprint. The creator physically mixes the indivisible eternal essence with the divisible material essence. Then he divides that compound using those musical intervals we just talked about, cuts it lengthways, and bends it into intersecting circles. The outer circle becomes the sphere of the same, which governs the fixed stars and ultimate reason. The inner circle gets split into 7 unequal orbits representing the diverse, which govern our planets. It's honestly a staggering feat of ancient cosmological engineering. But wait, we've got to pause for a second, because classical scholars point out a pretty massive logical gap here. If the archetype, the eternal pattern, is perfectly undivided and immaterial, how can the physical copy ever truly be divided? Plato really struggles to reconcile how a flawless, unchangeable intellectual concept actually translates into imperfect, changing matter. It's this deep tension between mind and matter that arguably remains unresolved in the text itself.
Section 3. Plato's geometric physics.
You really have to appreciate Plato's intellectual humility here. He explicitly throws in a disclaimer, calling his physical theories a probable tale. Why? Well, because the visible world is constantly becoming and changing. Since it's in motion, any explanation of its physics can only be a probability, not an absolute, static truth. He very carefully separates his theoretical divine causes, which we can grasp through pure reason, from the messy, observable, necessary causes of material flux. When he does try to explain those necessary causes, he gets incredibly creative. Plato theorized that the 4 classical elements, fire, air, water, and earth, aren't just fundamental building blocks or atoms. Instead, they are geometric compounds made out of basic triangles. Fire is a sharp, unstable pyramid. Earth is a highly stable cube. It is literally an ancient anticipation of modern particle physics, just substituting our quarks and bosons with perfect geometric surfaces.
And the scholarly rigor he applies to deduce all this is just incredibly dense. He calculates exactly how these invisible base triangles, isosceles and scalene, combine to form the tangible realities of fire, earth, air, and water. He believed these elemental bodies could even be broken down into their base triangles and reassembled into completely different elements, which perfectly explained, at least to him, the perpetual flux of nature.
Section 4. The Human Microcosm.
So how do we fit into all this? Plato links the macrocosm directly down to us, framing human beings with a tripartite structure. The immortal, rational part of our soul was created directly by the Demiurge, but our mortal, passionate souls and our physical bodies were crafted by lesser gods. So we are essentially trapped in these chaotic bodies in a constant state of what he calls perpetual influx and efflux. When we collide with external elements, it causes sensations that violently shake the perfect rational orbits of our soul. Fascinatingly, Plato argues that physical diseases of the body and bad education actually lead to the involuntariness of vice. Basically, our moral failings are deeply tied to our physical elemental turbulence.
Because of all this internal chaos, our highest goal as humans is to calm the storm. We need to quiet the turbulent sensations of our mortal vessel and realign the rational circles of our mind with the perfect circles of the cosmos. By studying the unerring, harmonious movements of the heavens, Plato says we can actually correct the disrupted, wandering orbits inside our own heads.
Section 5. A living, breathing universe.
Plato finalizes this grand blueprint by explaining that to truly mirror that perfect eternal pattern, the physical universe can't have any empty space. It has to be completely full. It must contain all varieties of creatures, heavenly gods, birds in the air, aquatic life, and land animals. And how does it populate all this? Through the transmigration of souls. Depending on how well a soul maintained its rational orbits in its past life, it gets reborn into different physical forms. This interconnectedness finalizes his analogy of the cosmos as one single, comprehensive, living creature.
The thought of God made the God that was to be. That one powerful quote really encapsulates our whole explainer today. Plato's cosmos isn't just a dead mechanical clock. It is a singular, blessed, self-sufficient world animal dreamed up and created by pure intellect and mathematical design.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final question. Today, we are still chasing mathematical beauty, things like string theory and quantum mechanics, to explain our physical reality. As we build our own modern theories of everything, we kind of have to ask ourselves, are we simply crafting our own era's version of Plato's probable tale? Are we basically just following in the footsteps of the Timaeus, using the advanced mathematics of our time to try and map out the exact same eternal patterns of the universe? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for exploring this fascinating architectural blueprint of the cosmos with me.